A packet of venison mince arrives at a Wellington food bank. It is cold, professionally prepared, and marked with a batch number. The label is the quiet hero of the story. The meat began as a wild animal in a country whose forests did not evolve with deer. Yet the hardest step is not the hunt or the cooking. It is building a safe, traceable bridge between a private harvest and a meal for a stranger. In July 2026, hunters and community partners gave nearly 100 kilograms of wild venison to 6 charities around Wellington, the Hutt Valley and Kapiti. The donation was estimated to provide about 775 meals. The number sounds like a simple conversion. Shoot a deer, make mince, feed people. New Zealand's rule system is more careful, because wild deer carry two truths at the same time. They are valued food and game animals. They are also introduced browsers that can stop a native forest from replacing itself. Walk backwards from the food bank freezer. Before the mince reached a family, a recognized charity accepted it. A professional butcher prepared it. A label followed the batch. The Game Changer New Zealand system connected the food bank, butcher, funding and hunter. Participating hunters completed a knowledge check and registered the harvest. Before that chain existed, the venison was only recreational catch. Wild meat is not the same as supermarket meat. Commercial meat moves through regulated procurement, hygiene, and processing systems. No public agency can give the same general assurance about an animal privately taken in the bush. Its safety depends on the animal's condition. A clean shot, careful handling, rapid cooling, clean transport, and correct processing. For that reason, a hunter cannot simply sell recreational venison. New Zealand rules treat sale, barter, and supply linked to another paid service as commercial trade. Commercial wild game suppliers and processors need the proper certification and controls. Donation can be acceptable under a different path. There must be no trade anywhere in the chain. The meat should be something the hunter would serve to their own family. It needs to move through an agreed, well-managed system with a recognized food bank or charity. Temperature, hygiene, records, and processing still matter. That sounds like administration. It is what lets a person who never met the hunter open the packet with confidence now move farther back into the forest. New Zealand has 7 species of deer established in the wild. The first ancestors of today's wild populations were imported and released from 1851. Red deer became the most widespread. Other populations include fallow deer, sika, rusa, sambar, white-tailed deer, and wapiti. They entered an ecosystem shaped for millions of years without large browsing land mammals. New Zealand's native birds, insects, and plants had their own relationships, but there was no native deer filling the forest floor. Wild deer also have no natural predators here. If people remove fewer animals than the population produces, deer numbers grow and spread. The damage begins quietly. A deer selects the seedlings, shrubs, ferns, and leaves it likes. Another deer visits. The most attractive plants become scarce, so the animals move to less preferred species. Young trees disappear before they can replace the canopy above. An adult forest can still look green from a road. Underneath, its next generation may be missing. A forest can lose its future while still looking alive. Forest decline does not always look like a clear-felled hillside. It can look like an empty space between mature trunks, with fewer seedlings, less shelter, and a changed mix of plants. Over time, regeneration slows, food and habitat for other species shrink, and the land can become less resilient. Hunting can reduce that browsing pressure. It can also provide a reason for skilled people to spend time in difficult country, notice animal movements, and recover useful meat. But eat the problem is not a complete national strategy. Hunters go where access is possible and where an animal can be carried out. Deer in remote, steep, or dense country may cost far more to recover than the meat is worth. Some conservation sites aim to stay deer-free. Other places manage numbers while recognizing hunting, recreation, and local values. Professional ground control, aerial recovery, fencing, monitoring, and recreational hunting all have different jobs. Food bank recovery fits one part of that larger map. It gives extra value to animals that can be safely taken and transported. It does not promise that every deer removed for conservation can become a meal. The Wellington donation shows where the practical bottleneck sits. Hunters supplied the animals. Food banks needed protein. The missing resources were coordination, cold storage, records, skilled butchery, and money for processing. Game Changer raises funds to cover that middle step. Its model says that a donation of $120 can help turn one wild deer into food for a chosen food bank. That payment is not buying the recreational meat. It supports the safe work around it. The distinction matters. If nobody pays for the butcher, a generous harvest may stay within the hunter's own household or never be recovered. If the meat is treated casually, a charity inherits a food safety risk it did not create. A well-designed program pays for the bridge while keeping the donated animal outside trade. The meal estimate also deserves honesty. Nearly 100 kilograms divided into 775 portions is about 129 grams of meat per portion. That is a useful serving of protein, not 775 complete dinners by itself. Vegetables, grains, cooking facilities, time, and household preferences still shape the meal. Calling a meat portion a full meal can make a donation sound larger than the experience at the kitchen table. Calling it only meat misses why food banks value protein, which can be harder and more expensive to source than bread or canned goods. Both truths can sit together, just like the deer itself. If this connection between forest care and food support feels worth sharing, send the story to a hunter, a gardener, or someone who has never looked below the canopy. The packet in the freezer is not proof that New Zealand has solved wild deer damage or hunger. It is proof that the same animal can become an ecological pressure, a valued harvest, and a safe community resource. The difference is the chain of people between the forest and the table.